What's up guys, Dan here for BladeReviews.com, back again with another knife review. This time around we're going to be taking a look at the CRKT eraser designed by Liang Ma. And to get us going, I got some quick specs here. So the eraser's got an overall length of 8 3/4 inches. It's got a 3 7/8 inch long blade, and it weighs 6.2 ounces. So a bigger knife, a heavier knife for sure. I've got a couple size comparisons here to help show that to you. So first up is an Emerson CQC13, and that's the combat buoy. And then I've got a Hogue EX01, and this is the version of the knife with the 3.5 inch blade and a drop point blade at that. So you can see the eraser, big knife for sure. Also, it's a very unconventional looking knife, and part of the reason why I chose these other two blades for the size comparison was just to show the variety in materials and designs and types of finishes and stuff. This is why I enjoy collecting, because there's just a ton of options out there, and makers are always pushing for new and bold, adventurous takes on things like the classic folding knife. So the eraser definitely falls in that category. I think it's a very interesting tool from a design perspective. And, you know, it's not going to be to everybody's taste, and that's all right. That's part of what makes collecting fun and makes the reviews interesting, at least in my opinion. So, to start us off, let's take a look at the blade here, and wow, what a blade it is. First up, it is a modified reversed Hanto shape, but more importantly, I just think it's been beautifully finished. I mean, look at that. You've got two swedges, you've got a high hollow grind, and everything's been given this like lovely satin finish. Really picks up the light. And I'm going to say right off the bat, you know, this knife retails for around $85, $90. So for sub $100 knife, I mean, it's got a beautiful blade on here. Something that I really can't find its equal at this price point. So it's a really nice job with the blade. The steel is AUS 8, which, you know, will turn some people off right off the bat, and that's okay. You know, you're welcome to your opinion, of course. But for the same reasons that you know, AUS 8 might turn some people off, being a softer steel, it's the same reason why this knife looks as good as it does. It's just relatively easy to machine and takes beautiful finishes, as you can see here with this beautiful satin finish on the blade. Now, from a more practical perspective, I think there's a lot that this knife offers. It's got a very, very strong tip, and just a very wicked tip at that. Certainly could get some work done with it. And a good amount of belly, just a large, broad blade here. You're gonna be able to get a lot of work done with this knife. So cool looking, beautifully finished, and practical as well. Moving on to the handle here, we again have sort of an unconventional shape with a bit of a modified pistol grip. You've got some aggressive jimping or texturing back here, and some funky scallops for your fingers. It bends and curves in certain areas. Very unique design here, and I think that's been further accentuated with the choice of G10 and aluminum bolsters for the handle scales. Now you've got full stainless steel liners, you've got a large black G10 backspacer, again your bolsters, and G10 on the opposite side. Now everything has been beautifully finished on this knife, just lines up wonderfully. Again, sub $100 knife, and you're getting really a lot of not just knife, but a lot of attention to detail, very tight tolerances, beautifully finished. So it's all screwed together if you ever wanted to take this thing apart. The liners are not milled out. They are full stainless steel liners, which do contribute somewhat to the weight of this thing. But all in all, very impressive with the handle here. Nice large lanyard hole if you feel inclined to use it. And in hand, the eraser is also just exceptional. Large knife, really does fill the hand well, kind of a thicker design here with the full liners and the scales and all that. But quite comfortable in a forward grip. Just fingers naturally fall into these little scallops, and if you were to throw the knife in reverse grip, well, that's where it really performs well. You've got this sort of natural spot for your thumb, again with the jimping there. Good place to get some leverage on this knife. Feels quite good in reverse grip. Alright, so let's talk a little bit about the pocket clip here, which is a pretty sharp departure from the angular shape of this blade. It's a more bulbous style pocket clip, curving. I wouldn't go so far as to call it graceful, but certainly a little more organic than other aspects of the knife. It's not my absolute favorite pocket clip design. It's not too bad though. On the other hand, I think if I had to give it a 1 out of 10, maybe 6.5 or so. It's certainly functional. Of course, you've got 4 corners carry here, tip up, tip down, ambidextrous. It's been blackened, which is always nice to see. It's a large clip, but it's got good retention, good spring to it, and it's easy to insert and remove from your pocket. In practice, this is a heavy knife. It's a large knife. You're probably going to notice it when you carry it. At least I noticed it. And, that just comes with the territory when you're talking 4-inch blades and 6-ounce knives. But the pocket clip does do a good job holding this knife in place. I think that all things considered, the eraser carries pretty well. So let's talk a little bit about the deployment. What we've got, of course, is a flipper, and the knife just shoots out. Very easy, effortless, smooth deployment, a lot of fun. And I happen to like the deployment a lot. And part of what makes this work so well is the inclusion of a couple Teflon washers in here. Now, I've not always had particularly nice things to say about Teflon. I tend to prefer phosphor bronze, but in this case and in other knives that I've recently reviewed, I'm starting to warm up to the material. Done right, I think Teflon washers can be really quite nice, and this is a great example of that. It just sort of speaks for itself here. The knife is super smooth and fast. I've got no complaints with the inclusion of Teflon washers. Let's briefly talk about the lockup on this knife, and of course we've got a liner lock here, a pretty stout liner lock as well, engaging nice and early and really solid. There's no play. Even as you move out further on the knife, you might notice a little bit of flex in the blade, but there's no play in the pivot, none at all. Tip up, up and down, side to side, no blade play. Really nice to see on a knife that's, once again, under $100. I have knives that cost almost 3 times as much money as the eraser, and they've got blade play. So the eraser doesn't. I think it, once again, just shows that this thing has been really well engineered, well built, and well executed. So one last little detail I want to mention is this LAWKS feature, LAWKS. That stands for something. I'm not sure what exactly, but basically it is a manual safety that when you engage it, when you push it up, it prevents you from accidentally or purposely disengaging the liner lock on this knife. For me, I'm not a huge fan. I'm not going to say that I dislike it, but I just don't find it particularly necessary. I'm sure some will enjoy having this feature though, and it really doesn't get in the way. Sure, you feel it a little bit as you run your thumb over the back of it, but it stays out of the way. It doesn't engage automatically. It doesn't look hideous. It's just kind of discreet. And one little thing to mention, so the LAWKS system. And yeah, that pretty much takes us through the knife. Final thoughts on the eraser. I really like this knife a lot. I like how it's a bold design, adventurous, it's pretty cool, something that, these are words that you don't always hear associated with Columbia River. They cater more to value offerings, and some of their designs are certainly cool, but I think this is one of their cooler ones. This is one of their more adventurous blades out there for collectors, enthusiasts, fans of knives in general. I think that they will find something interesting in the eraser. But certainly this isn't a one-size-fits-all kind of knife. I'm not going to just say that this is the end-all, be-all to knives, and I unequivocally recommend it. You have to be in the position where you're interested in the design, you like the shape of it, you like a larger knife, etc., etc. But if you happen to be a fan of the design, I'm pleased to say that it's been well executed. I think the materials are good considering the price point, and I'm just very impressed with the level of fit and finish and how solid this thing is. So that is the review, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Once again, Dan for BladeReviews.com. Let me know if you have any comments or questions, and I hope you enjoyed this review. Stick around for many more to come. Thanks again, and take care.